What's up, guys? We're at our new location. We're gonna be working in this building behind us over here, where we're gonna be doing 3,500 square feet of self-leveling underlayment for one of our good customers. Floor's in rough shape now, so we have to really grind it, get it clean, pour the new floor, and then they'll be ready to take over from there. But at first, in order to get in that building, we have to deliver from the street, go into this building, walk through an underground tunnel that goes underneath Madison Avenue to connect us to that building. So it's a little bit of a process. It's a little bit out of the ordinary, but definitely happens here in New York City. So come along with us. So we're gonna be coming down this hallway with all of our material. We're probably underneath Madison Avenue at this point. I don't know where we are. I'm a little lost myself, but we're getting there through elevators and stairs. Eventually we'll find our way there. This is pretty typical in hospitals. Hospitals are underground mazes. Every hospital is the same. This is crazy. This is such a far run. It's also 100 degrees in here. Crazy. Elevator number 2. It's like New York City is the only place where you'll see the elevator close button thing worn off. Anytime the door is open for a second too longer, people just slamming the close button. I'm guilty of it myself. Yeah, all right, so we finally found it. All right.
That's what you want. You get that paper. That's what you want to get a solid concrete.
All right, so the guys finished prep grinding this area. You can see this area is completely filled in, smooth and flat, level to where its surrounding areas are. The next step is to patch all of these holes and cracks and everything in, prime the floor, and then we're gonna be pouring the floor with self-level. You can see all these holes. We're gonna patch all these in because especially what we just saw, with all the different levels in this building, we have no idea if this goes down to another floor, which could be an operating room or a kitchen. So everything's got to be sealed up. Hospitals are definitely a different beast, but everything's looking good. All right, so the way that this job's working out, we're doing the whole space here. Obviously, it's under heavy construction, so the way that we have to do it is do it in 2 phases. They're gonna clear out one area for us, half of the space. We do one half. They move all the stuff into the other half in the meantime while we do this half. We finish this half, they bring everything back the next day, and then we do the next half the following couple of days. All this ductwork's gotta get moved, all the sheetrock, all the scaffolding with all the sheetrock and metal tins on it gotta go, gang boxes gotta go, and then this is gonna be phase 2. And once we're done over there, it's all going on our new floor, and then we'll do this one. We're at phase 2. At this point in time, we ground the floor clean. All that debris is completely removed. We're down to sound concrete everywhere. It's all in the prep. All these jobs are like 90% prep, 10% pour. Just to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. So we ramped out some areas with patching to make it a little bit more flat, to make the self-level application go on smoother. Ground down some high areas with the hand grinders. Put the primer down. The primer has been curing for about 2 hours now. We're gonna start in this room. We're just gonna kind of pour it, do 3/8 of an inch on average, kind of just gauge rake it straight back. A couple of low areas, we're gonna just dump the self-level a little heavy here and kind of just let it float out and do its thing, because this is lower than this. So we're gonna leave it a little heavy in here to compensate for the low area and kind of just let it do its thing. We're not gonna try and pull it too much, because if we pull too much, we're just gonna recreate exactly what's here. So we're gonna leave it a little heavier on this side. In this room, pretty much same thing, pretty straightforward. We'll leave it a little heavier over here to try to cover up all these trenches the best we can. And at one point, we'll probably be bouncing back and forth between these rooms to bring them together. And then we'll work backwards. We'll hit this room, same thing here. Right here in this middle is low. So we're gonna just dump excess amounts of self-level there to cover the gap that's there with the low spot and float all this nice and even. We're pretty much not gonna really touch it once we pour it. We're just gonna pour it out and let it do its thing. And then we'll work our way back this way. Kind of the same thing. Kind of just pour it out, let it do its thing, not pull it too much. This room, same thing. We might leave it a little heavy right here where there's a height difference. We're a little bit lower here than here. So we'll leave it a little heavy on this, at this ledge to cover the difference there. And then finish right here, marrying what we did last time, bringing it nice and flush. So now he's gauge raking it, basically pulling it all at a consistent depth across the floor. This is the spreader, gauge rake spreader. You set the depth by knocking these skis down. This rides on the concrete, and the distance from here riding on the concrete to the bottom of the gauge rake is, you know, the depth that you're looking for, whether it's a 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, 3/4, whatever it is. You measure the distance between the bottom of the rake and the frame itself. And you want to make sure that they're exactly even so that you get an even pull across the floor. And one side is not at a different height than the other side. That would leave it all cockeyed. Typically you don't want to have a tidal wave up on the wall, but it's his first day, so. Each one of these hippos, what are we mixing, 4 bags?
Yeah.
Each one of these hippos holds 4 bags. I think they could hold up to 5, but we're comfortable with doing 4. And we mix 4 at a time, and that's 8 bags right there out on the floor. So this area we left a little bit heavier to compensate for a height difference here. Even though we're using the gauge rake right now, Dad knows to not pull that area, leave it a little heavier, and then we'll just hit it once with the smoother. That's what he's doing right now, and we'll let it do its thing. So this is the spreader, very important tool in self-leveling. And then this is a smoother. They can look different. This is our favorite one. It's nice, it's got nice rounded edges on it so it doesn't really cut into the self-level. And you float it right over the top of the self-level. And it smooths everything out. And the idea with this is that you want to pull back the water line in the self-level. So when the self-level is dumped on the floor and you gauge rake it, you'll see all the water lines left behind from the smoother. This helps pull all that back towards you and leave a nice chocolate or gray color at the end. So you can see the nice consistent brown color that it leaves behind. And what he's doing is he's pulling the water line back. And you can see that line that's being left behind at the back of the smoother. That's the water line. We're going to try and constantly pull that line back.
He's taking a break off of his end.
So here we're going to leave it a little heavier because where he's standing now is actually slightly higher than where I'm standing. So in order to correct that, we're going to leave more material on the floor. So he's not going to pull it so tight. He's going to roughly pull it, but he's not going to pull it with any kind of a pattern, a tight pattern. Yep, and it's just going to let it float it out and do what it does best. So now that's the last one in there. We were going back and forth. We were doing maybe 3 hippos in the big room, 2 in the little room, 3 in the big room, 1 in the little room, and we're tying them, both rooms in together at the same time and funneling out down this hallway into the next group of rooms. I don't have cleats on, so I can't walk in there. That's the power of the cleats. All right, and the third, and maybe first most important tool are the cleats. These are the shoes that we wear while we're in the self-level. And the reason for that is because when you step in the self-level with cleats on, you're only putting pressure on these points that allow the self-level to pull back and heel back into those step marks. Versus if you were to step in a work boot, all of that would disperse the self-level and it would just be very, very tacky. It's a lot more surface area to push away, and you don't really want to do it. This is the secret to self-leveling. You have to wear cleats. You have to be able to walk into it to be able to have a successful pour. So we're going to be leaving it heavy exactly where Rafa's pouring it right now to correct that's a low spot. I'm about to get self-leveled in here.
The most important tool to create is right here.
There it is, the cleat.
That's it.
Not only is it important to use to walk in there, but you can move it around and kick self-level into corners with your shoes. The shuffle. So that's it. So now at this point, this job is completely finished. We did phase 1, ground it, patched it, primed it, poured it, flip-flopped the whole job site over to that side. Did phase 2, ground it, patched it, primed it, poured it. It's wet right now. It'll be dry in about like 6 hours or so, but we're not gonna stick around for it to dry, and we're not gonna be back here tomorrow because we're going to another job. What you see here is what that's gonna be tomorrow, and they're gonna continue on with the build out and finish up, but we're done here. This part's always annoying. It's like unpacking after a trip. Just dread doing it, especially when you have a hallway like this, you know, a delivery like this. Get me next to all the blood vials, all the biohazard. That's it. Now I gotta wait for Anthony to get here.